up, Ramley? Today we're going to be talking about the draft needs for the Rams. As of right now, it's the end of the 2019 season. The Rams have not done anything with Corey Littleton or Dante Fowler. So if you watch this video a couple months from now, don't leave any dumb messages because I'm going to call you up on it. This is prior to even the Super Bowl happening. The Super Bowl is a day away. But I want to talk about some Rams draft needs for the next coming draft, or possibly free agents, and what really needs do the Rams have at the moment. So I think we're going to have to start off on the offensive side of the football, and I have to talk about the uncertainty of the interior of the offensive line for the Rams. So the Rams actually started off with Joseph Noteboom and ended up with Austin Corbett at left guard. And, to me, one of the biggest question marks coming into the season last year was, why are we playing a left tackle at the left guard position? Why are we putting a guy that's body type is not actually quite what we need for him at that position? We went from a younger, more agile, speedier, pass protection type of left guard and Joseph Noteboom, and we ended up losing Roger Saffold, who is a more bulky power guy that's really good in the run. He has got decent technique as a pass protector, but overall he's a really, really good and solid run blocker. Well, the Rams couldn't run the ball to save their life, and they struggled a lot early on. I don't think Todd Gurley had a game that was more than 100 yards rushing at all in 2019. He was pretty close, and when he did get close to rushing 100 yards, it wasn't when Joseph Noteboom was there. So Austin Corbett actually was pretty solid, but we don't really know what we'll do with Austin as of right now. So I think if we're going to look, we need to look to see if we can maybe fill in that left guard position. But I do think that that's a big need for the Rams in the interior. And for sure, talking about the interior, we're going to go center. Brian Allen really let me down. I thought the guy was going to be a brawler. I thought he was going to be something special. And he actually got pushed around quite a lot. Like the same way I talk about Sebastian Joseph Day getting pushed around at the nose tackle position. Brian Allen was, to me, a liability, especially early on in the year until he ended up getting hurt. And I think we ended up putting Austin Blythe at the center position, and he actually held his own okay. Wasn't great, wasn't solid, but it was decent. But that's what Brian Allen was. Brian Allen was terrible. If you guys go watch like the game with against the Niners, like week 4 or 5, the game against the Buccaneers, like Brian Allen was insignificant. He was basically pretty goddamn terrible. And I need to make sure that we go in the draft and we go get ourselves a good center or a guard that might be playing that position, or maybe keep Austin Blythe and put him at center, and then try maybe getting a right guard and a left guard in the draft, because both left guard, center, and now right guard have been liabilities. I know that with David Edwards came into the roster, started in the roster. I think halfway through the season, his first game was against the Atlanta Falcons, and I even made a video talking about his performance in that game. And he was good. He was actually pretty damn good. He was one of the highest ranking offensive linemen for the Rams in that game, if not the most high ranking offensive lineman as a rookie. So I like what I saw from him, but as some of the games went by, he actually played not terrible, but he wasn't solid. But in that, I think to me, that was his best game against the Atlanta Falcons. Remember, Atlanta isn't the most power-based team in the sense of their scheme, so their defensive tackles aren't like the greatest, but they're good. And that's what I noticed about David Edwards, is he was very solid. He was, I think, actually like a first or second round pick before his injury. And we ended up getting him, I think, in the 4th or 5th round. So we got good. We're getting a solid offensive line for the future. But we don't have that special right guard that's a natural, that's a brawler to be at that position. Trust me, if the Rams get a good interior offensive line, plus having guys like Bobby Evans, Andrew Whitworth, David Edwards at those tackle positions, Havenstein, and they put in some work in the offseason and get some good chemistry going, they could have one of the best offensive lines next year. So to me, the biggest question marks, the biggest needs for the Rams is, in the offensive side of the ball, is left guard, center, and right guard. Now moving on to the defense position, and I think games are won in the trenches. I think if you can get after the quarterback and at least pressure the quarterback and stop the run, number one, that to me is the most important thing you can do on the defensive side of the ball, especially on the defensive line. And that's why I think that getting a nose tackle to me is the biggest of importance, whether it's free agency or the draft. I think nose tackle to me was my biggest question mark going into the 2019 season, and sure enough, it was the biggest issue. That's kind of, look at it this way. Ndamukong Suh came in with the Rams as a solid player, as a defensive tackle, but he's going to play that nose tackle position. He made Aaron Donald even better. By putting another player next to Aaron Donald and having Michael Brockers there, made him even better because he was able to just cause chaos inside the defensive line. And being that Ndamukong Suh is pretty damn solid himself, pretty damn good, a power-based type of player, and then Michael Brockers is more of a run-stopping lineman, they had one of the most vicious three-player combos at a defensive line that I haven't seen in a while. And they would get after teams, and Aaron Donald would get 20.5 sacks that year. And then now this year he got double teamed a lot, even triple teamed, and he had 12.5 sacks. Aaron Donald is something special, but put a guy next to him and next to Brockers, depending what happens with Brockers, maybe that's another need that I'll probably address in this video. But nose tackle position, put another guy next to Aaron Donald that's solid, and he's going to be a problem. He's going to be an issue, and he's going to get even better. He was that close to getting the single season sack record in NFL history. That to me is something special. That to me shows that if you can put a guy next to Aaron Donald at the nose tackle position, because Sebastian Joseph Day to me isn't that guy. He can be a quality, backup. What's wrong with being a good backup? I think Sebastian was like a 6th rounder, 7th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, out of Rutgers. But the dude is not like, he's nothing special. So if we were to go get a guy maybe in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, like a steal at the nose tackle position, that's going to improve that defense. Because when you have a solid defensive line, it's just like an offensive line. It lets everything around, it gives them more time, right? Well, the defensive line shortens up that time. It gives the corners, it gives the safeties, it gives the linebackers a lot more. They give them more of an advantage against their opponent because the quarterback has less time to throw. They can't run the football. There's so many issues that a solid defensive line can create. So that's one thing that I noticed is the Rams have to solidify the nose tackle position. They have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't want to hear that the Rams had an amazing defense. We got destroyed by the Ravens, the Cowboys of all teams, the damn Buccaneers, who basically played their hearts out against us, and then they were trashed the rest of the way. Like the Rams, they have a lot of heart. They have a lot of players that had a lot of heart, and they tried to make the playoffs, and they just couldn't do it. But shore up those weaknesses at nose tackle, man, and it's gonna free my man Aaron Donald. Free him, because he's always getting double team and triple team. The next need of importance on that defense is the defensive end position, mainly because we do not know what's going to happen with Michael Brockers. Most likely he's going to leave. He had one of those Twitter videos where he's telling the Ramley thank you for everything and kind of his history with the Rams. And that's usually a sign that he's not going to get picked up in the offseason by the Rams. He's probably going to get let go. And Greg Gaines might be the guy to come in at the nose tackle or defensive end position. So we have to wait and see what happens with that. But if we can't get a sure veteran or maybe a decent, guy out of free agency or maybe through the draft, then we might have to start some of the guys that we already have. But if we have, like, let's say a second round pick and there's a guy that's a first round quality player, why not go and get him? Why not? Moving on, next position in need, in my opinion, other than Jalen Ramsey, we have David Long Jr., Troy Hill. I think there's a guy named Darius Williams and Nickel Ruby-Coleman. And those four players that I just named after Ramsey, they're not a for sure solid, this guy can make plays type of player. Like Troy Hill has done well for himself after being undrafted, after being a zone type of corner, but he's not anything special, if that makes sense. If we're going to put a guy next to Jalen Ramsey on the opposite side and let him like wreak havoc, let him get some interceptions, because they're not throwing his way. It was very rare that they were throwing against Jalen Ramsey, because why would they throw Jalen? Why don't they just throw away from Jalen and see what they can do on the other side? So I think if you can get another player next to Jalen Ramsey on the other side, that they're going to have to be forced to, throw his way. And last but not least, I have to say the next need is either linebacker or edge rusher. Why do I say that? The reason I say that is because Corey Littleton or Fowler, one of them are going to be gone, or both of them are they going to be gone. We still have Micah Kiser. We still have Kenny Young. Other than that, the linebackers, it's really uncertain. Then the edge rushers, you will still have Clay Matthews at the edge position, and then you will have Okoronkwo as a decent backup, a player that I think is a second rounder. Other than he did have some issues in the NFL draft, that I think he ended up getting a foot injury in training camp, so it took him off of all of 2018. But in 2019, he came in, and the dude was a solid backup. And I have a high ceiling for him. I think he could get like about 9 sacks in the season and a couple tackles for loss as a pass rusher. Having Clay Matthews on the other side, I actually like that combo. I think both of them are very skilled. I do not think the Rams will keep Dante Fowler, and I think they'll try their hardest to keep Corey Littleton. But if one way or the other, I think a bigger need would probably be the interior of the linebacker core and then a pass rusher. So those are my needs. So I'm going to name them one by one. Number one need, I think, for the Rams is center. Second is right guard. Third is left guard. Fourth is nose tackle. Fifth would be the defensive end. Sixth would be another corner. Seventh and eighth, linebacker and edge rusher. So let me know what you guys think. In my opinion, you can kind of swap the right and left guard with maybe the nose tackle, but overall, I think if we can get solid pieces in this draft and free agency, the Rams will be good to go coming next year. So leave a like, leave a share, leave a comment, and like always, you guys, subscribe.